happy to see new faces. I am Ila Cruz, along with Mika, Reina, and Titi, the registration label. We formed the Sun Life Digital Marketing Group. So since maraming bago, before we move on to Brighter Life Coach, ay actually mahaba-haba ang kanyang ang kanyang title, di ba? Kasi war is coming, guys. So we have the Breaker of Chains, Advocate of Financial Freedom, and Brighter Life Coach. So, but before anything else, let me talk about the Money for Life Challenge. So what is this exactly? What is Sun Life trying to do here? So we've been celebrating Financial Independence Month for 3 years now. And for some reason, financial literacy among Filipinos remains to be really low. Still below 5%, if I'm not mistaken. 5% financial literacy, guys. Kaya naman talaga hindi tayo makamove forward sa ating prosperous future. And also, we figured out that financial smarts is not something that you learn one time. It's a habit that you build. And that's why, along with Brighter Life Coach Aya, we're here for the next 6 months to talk about all these different financial topics. So we can do a deep dive, we can talk about your personal issues, and we can actually do something that's relevant to you. Hindi na tayo pang head knowledge lang. Kailangan pang real life stories na ito. So last June, we had goal setting. Today, we will be doing planning and managing expenses. And the rest, we have a lot of exciting topics that we will be reminding you from time to time. So we'll be emailing you to remind you about our upcoming schedules. And lastly, we need your help. As digital influencers, you have the capacity to reach out and talk about the stories behind financial smarts. Kadalasan kasi pag nakarinig na tayo ng numbers, nakarinig tayo ng pera, parang nag-zone out na normal yung mga tao. But at this point, we realize that we need money to live. We need money for life. So, as influencers, we look to you for help in telling this story and sharing your experience, your journey towards learning about these financial topics. And we hope you will tag you will use hashtag Money for Life Challenge and tag us as Sun Life PH, so we can also be part of that journey and help you out. And of course, Coach Aya will be here for the next 6 months. If you have any questions, you can actually reach out to us, to Mika. We can pass on the questions to Sir Aya, or we can discuss it here during our session. So feel free to jump in the conversation. The coach naman is very, very approachable. He's very willing to help. So I hope this will be a very interactive discussion. So feel free to just contribute or ask questions. And with that, we're moving on, sir. Mag-reward muna kami. I wish nandito si Mateo to give you the prize. But unfortunately, hanggang picture lang siya.
Sa bahay na lang daw.
Sa bagay. Try natin yan, pero can't promise. So, ang magbibigay na lang ng reward ay si Mika Bells. Mika.
Hello, good afternoon. Kanina someone asked me kung what is in it for you guys. So, 2 things to. The first thing is financial literacy, financial planning for free, diba, with Coach Aya. And second is, we will give a reward for the person who has shared about his or her journey of the Money for Life Challenge through blogging. So, if you since tayo din sa mga bago, you write about what you hear today in your own blog, and you can email it to us. The next session, we can award 5,000 worth of silent prosperity funds or so,
Basically, lahat ng mga vloggers na dito, entry nila yung
kung ano yung sulat nila sa blog.
ito yung pinaka-entry nila para manalo na subscribe.
Yes. And just, para lang you be familiar, it's 5,000 is the minimum amount you can invest. So, pag nandiyan namin kayo, invested na kayo sa mutual funds, you can add first goes 1,000. Anyway, so, yung ating award goes to this blogger who detailed her na. Hindi ko na her. her goals for these 6 months kasi yung challenge natin goes on until December. So, pinipil niya kung ano yung goals niya, kung anong gagawin niya to reach that goal. So, with that, may we call on Mami Liz and
Pwede na mag-top up. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3.
So yun yung mga kuha niyo oras. Okay, so now without further ado, we'd like to introduce our Brighter Life Coach and Financial Freedom Fighter and Breaker of Change, Aya Laraya.
So, good afternoon again. This will be our second session. So, I'm really glad to see some familiar faces. And in some cases, even happier to see unfamiliar faces. Medyo dumami tayo dito, so that's always fun. In which case, I'd just like to formally introduce myself. That's the long thing, but that's me. Different hair, slightly fatter. But this is my educational background. I graduated from Ateneo a long, long time ago. Then I took an MBA with the University of Western Australia where I got a distinction in economics. And I currently teach at the Australian Catholic University undergrad and University of Bradford of UK postgrad executive MBA program. So that's on the teaching side. And then I also teach sa PSE, sa RFP, yung Registered Financial Planner. I am an RFP also and I teach there. Used to be a realtor also. I also have a license in the stock market with CL Financial, as well as with mutual funds, long and short. I think I'm the only person in the country that I know of anyway that has a license or has had a license in every single legal financial product currently available. So that's why I do this. Okay, I teach. I love teaching. Used to be a manager also. Blogger, like many of you. Was Blogger of the Year, Panang Pilipinas last year. Nominated Outstanding Australian Alumni here in the Philippines. Created Pesos and Cents, which I hope some of you have seen. Pakalat-kalat yan eh. It was a TV show I created 4 years ago simply because no one teaches us about money. In school, wala. Saan mo pupulutin yan? And even right now, I know most of the people who produce the shows, unang-una English eh. Kaya nakaka-turn off para sa karamihan, dumudubay lang natin. Eh bakit ganon? So I decided, like, kasi ang attitude ko is, if I see something wrong, then I try to fix it. Eh, ganon. We have CNBC, Bloomberg. Ako nanonood ako doon. I enjoy it. I learn a lot. But for a lot of our countrymen, once you see Bloomberg, kasi nag-English na sila, you turn off. Diba? Ano ang alam natin? Sinalvage na naman. Alam natin, ALDA. Doesn't do anything for us or for our country. And then, my latest pet project. Diba problema natin lahat, walang instrument na nagbibigay ng recurring income na investable aside from, ano choices mo? Time deposit, bond, or rent ka ng condo, correct? Start creating. Something that gives recurring income that is higher than time deposit, and yet is liquid and easy to do. I'll tell you more about it in the succeeding months. Hopefully it doesn't blow up in my face, but we'll see. Because you know, wala. I'm sure every one of you here, you want a product that earns more than time deposit, yet is more liquid than a bond so that you're not tied up for 5 to 10 years, correct? So why not make one? Ganun na ginagawa. So what are we going to do today? Well, unang-una, like any class, or like any last time, okay? Ano yung lapit mo na? Let's start with our review. What is the big thing that you took from last time?
Maglista ng expenses.
Maglista ng expenses. The ones who were here last time, did you do it? Good. Diba? Pati sila. Pati sila. Good. Diba? Because, paano mo nilista? What did you do? You started with pen and paper, right?
Yes.
And then what did you evolve to?
Then, tinuruan kami ni Sir Aya gumamit ng free app called Wally. So, every time na bibili ka kahit taho lang, Pag bili mo, enter mo lang yung expense mo, 5 pesos, gano'n. From as little expense like taho to bigger ones like gasoline, insurance, gano'n. Pwede mo i-count.
Kasi yun naman yun. If you look at us as vloggers, we have evolved, correct? Hindi na tayo magmamakinilya. Hindi tayo sarili magamit ng carbon paper. Diba? We can still use those, but it's not efficient, correct? So why is it when we approach our finances, we use archaic methods like pen and paper? Bakit ganun pa rin? Pag magpa-budget, pen and paper, isusulat pa rin sa notebook. Bakit? Wala na magbago? I know that there's comfort in writing. I get that. I also write. There is comfort in writing, yes. But if you want to be efficient, can you honestly tell me you can track all of your expenses in your head? Over time. Over days, weeks, and months. Hindi eh. So, yun nga eh. Minsan nakakausap, ay, paano walang pera? Talaga walang pera kasi hindi mo alam kung saan nagpupunta eh. Wala kang pang-budget. Bakit? Hindi mo alam kung saan nagpupunta eh. Some can tell me you can budget and you don't even know where your money is going. And there are so many tools now that help you do that. I'm not connected with one. It's just it's so simple. Marami dyan super complex na pwede mong i-link sa bank account mo, sa checking account mo, sa mutual fund mo, sa kung ano. Okay, darating din tayo nun. Pero yung pinakasimple lang, na-lista man lang natin, para may mapag-usapan tayo. Because believe it or not, I know a lot of us don't feel it. But our country has so much money. May wala kayo na maraming pera sa Pilipinas. 2.5 trillion in time deposits alone, legally. And that has grown by 17% a year for the past 6 years. Hindi yung illegal na nakadeklara, hindi nakatago kung saan. Time deposit pa lang yan, hindi pa checking o savings yan. Paano siya siguro ng pera Pilipino? But of course, like any new venture, sumasablay. Yeah, that's why this is a pioneering thing. Because most of these programs, I know, it's a one-shot deal. You attend once and you're supposed to learn everything you need and tapos na. Life doesn't work like that. Learning doesn't work like that. When we write, we have drafts, correct? Unless ang galing mo na lahat na lang nasulat mo, first draft, tapos ka na, submit agad. Minsan ganun, oo. But most of us, we have to work through drafts. Like we have a process. Ganun din to. You will make mistakes, that's why we're here. Learning does not occur without mistakes. Sometimes they say that you learn more from your mistakes, correct? Than when if you do something right. Finance is the same thing. It's just that in finance, when you make mistakes, it really hurts. And quite often, there is no do-over. I had a discussion early on with one of the earlier arrivals. That's why I like arriving early. I like having discussions. Sinabi niya that, medyo advanced na yung age niya, 40 plus like me. Ngayon pa lang magsisimula, so too late na mga ganun-ganun. Very common concerns. Sabi ko, okay yan, 40, iniisip mo yan. In 2 weeks, I'll be talking to the executives of one of the largest multinational firms here, and they're terrified because they're retiring and they've never even started anything. Bakit? Because yung attitude, basta magtrabaho ko, ganito, okay na ako pag-retire. Hindi pala. Pag-usapan din natin mga. And they're in a worse position because they're in their mid to late 50s. And in this country, there's not much you can do at that stage. So kayo, ano yung ayaw mo make for the people who were here last time? What was the thing you would have wanted to do? Or you would have wanted to improve sana? Ano yun? Yeah.
I personally like Power 1FP, the financial calculation.
Okay.
One of the eye-openers with special ed last time. We have these goals, but we never put the price tag. So parang it seems so big and so unreachable. Because of that calculator, medyo nalagyan ko ng price tag. And doable pala. Kaya pala.
Yun yun eh. Yeah, from last time we said, lahat naman kayo gusto mayaman. Tama. Magkano yun? May price tag na ba tayo? Basta bagong may lagay ng price tag. In our culture, actually, oo. Diba? Pero pera na lang yung nakatubad niya. Eh, lahat naman ng ano sa bagay, tinatamaan ng pera eh. And we pretend as if it does not matter. We pretend as if, being preoccupied with money is something either. It's not. It's a necessity. You want to see if it's evil? Fine. It's a necessary evil then. Because if you want to live in this world, you have to have money. Lalo pag nag-anak ka na, papakain mo dyan. Paano papaaralin yan? You trust our public school system with your child's education? No. Sobrang seryoso. Yay! Yay naman tayo. I hope, yun nga, the things we discussed, at least help you decide to get started. I don't expect you to do something massive. Small steps nga. Kahit yun, nalista mo man lang mga expenses mo. I know someone here, pinakita, nagulat siya. Yung mga assets niya pala, marami na. Kala niya wala. Nung nilista, ay, may magagawa naman pala. But looking at the list, what struck me was this organization. These are all good products. Different companies, hindi lang Sunlight. Iba-iba. Pero, haphazard yung pagbili. And based on the discussion, it was pretty much nabentahan eh. Diba? Eh, kasi hindi natanggihan eh. Kasi ganito eh. Maganda naman yung product. Don't get me wrong. All the products were good. They were all legitimate. But were they the ones suited for what this person wants sa buhay? Yun naman ang tanong. It's not whether the product is legal, good, or what. It's whether it will actually help you accomplish what you want. Kasi kahit kagano pa kaganda yan, if it does not do what you want it to do, at the end of the day, it's a failure. O kumita yan, sige, fine. But if it does not make enough to help you with your retirement, well, it's not that big of a success, right? Pero kung relatively maliit lang kinita yan, but it did exactly what you wanted to do, then it's a success. But do we even know what we want the money to do? That's why in first session, lista lang. Makikinit na. Ano masama eh, tayo lang. So, where does that bring us? Social Security. We all grow old. It's a fact of existence. Humanity, for the longest time, has been looking for ways to either stay young or get young again. From the fountain of youth, so ano ba yung mausang treatment ngayon? Yung para daw, stem cell, yun. Diba? Certain senators daw, nagpapa-stem cell, kaya hindi parang tumatanda. Kilala niyo yan? Diba? Huwag na tayo magbigay kasi may nagre-record eh. But diba? Stem cell, nagpapaano daw. Keeps you young. Okay. But what about the rest of us? Mahal yun eh. Daang libo bawat treatment nun eh. Many of us, especially, are stuck, they must stop. Have that. The question is it sufficient? Do we know what is or what will be sufficient? Because before you tell me it is insufficient, then tell me first what is sufficient. Well, bago sabihin kulang yan. By the way, kulang talaga yan. Pero, by how much? Kasi napupunuhan mo eh. But even before that, ito yung medyo controversial a few months ago. Kahit nga ako, kaya minsan hindi na ako nag-online, napapaaway ako pag ito usapan eh. Yan, actually hindi yan pala. Yan. Diba? Issue yan eh. Maganda ba talaga yan? And as vloggers, freelancers, many of you are, di ba, voluntary yung ano natin dyan. Worth it ba? What do you think? Okay ba mag-contribute dyan? Kugot agad doon ah. Bilis ah. But how do you evaluate it then? So let's take a look at SSS. Para saan ba yan? Depende yan. You have a sickness, death benefit. You have maternity for the women. Retirement. At dyan tayo magpo-focus. Retirement. Because many people, of course, we work with the intention of being able to retire in comfort. Never mind luxury. Comfort. Ganun naman yung famous, ng mga Pilipino, gusto ko lang mag-retiro simpleng buhay. What exactly is simpleng buhay for you? Yung joke ko nga sa simpleng buhay, may bahay sa Tagaytay, abroad, every 3 months, simpleng buhay pa kayo. May driver, may ganito, may ganon. Sige, kanya-kanya. Like I said, put the price to it. But we'll take a look at it. And then of course, yung famous loans. Then, when I was still employed, long time ago, when I was still much younger, ano yung lagi sinasabi pag empleyado ka? Gamitin mo. Yung salary loan. Bakit?
Para sa'yo yun.
Kasi baka may ibang gumamit eh. O, saan ka naman gagamitin yan? Basta gamitin mo. Di ba? Basta gamitin mo lang siya. Para active yung record mo. Baba lang naman yung interest eh. Bili ka ng... Dati wala akong telepono, basta gamitin mo. Ngayon, ang usual na dyan, bili ka pa ng telepono. Kasi may 6 months, may bagong telepono eh. Kung hindi Apple, Samsung maglalabas eh. In 2 months, may bago ng iPhone, 7 na. Kita nyo na? Have you seen it? Wala nang jack for earphones. Allegedly. Sa malit na yung bumilabas. So, lahat na ng earphones niya, either doon sa charger dadaan, or Bluetooth na. I don't know how people will respond to that. We'll see. And in February, Samsung naman usually brings up the newest one. So, I don't know. Baka yan yung nagpo-fold. Ay, yan yung nagpo-fold na phone. Na phone. That you can wear. It's a wearable phone na. Kasi, nagbe-bend na yung ano nila eh. It's not a watch. It's really a phone that you can now strap onto your wrist like a watch. You'll see. Ano, gusto ikaw una? Sarap pag ikaw una eh. Sikat eh. Especially our culture. Aminin natin. Sarap yun. So the question is, when you contribute to the SSS, diba fund yan? Lahat ng Pilipino, lalo ng employed, pag employed, kailangan mandatory. Magkano ba dapat kitain nun para lahat ng benepisyo maibigay sa'yo? Don't you think you should know that? Because then you can judge whether that fund can actually deliver. Ano may pinagawa niyo dati? Kasi sabi ng isang politician na dapat daw bigyan ng 2,000 peso increase yung mga pensioners. Sarap pakinggan, di ba? Who doesn't like an increase? Correct? Lagi na kung maliit yung pension mo, tapos biglang 2,000 dagdagan, tatanggihan mo? Siyempre hindi. Pera yun eh. And in the course of a year, that's not 24,000 pesos, that's 26,000 pesos. Kasi may 13th month din ng SSS eh. So, ang tanong, saan mo kunin yung pera nyo? Marami naman daw pera ng SSS eh. Totoo. The SSS fund today is in the billions of pesos. True. Pero tanong, gano'n ba karami ang gumagamit na? Marami nagko-contribute. Also true, kasi daming bata eh. Daming bata. By bata, I mean people below 35. Kasi ang average age ng Pilipino ngayon, 25 eh. So, sino dito ang below average? Ako, above average na ako, doble na ako. Lapit na. Diba? So, 25, bata. And if you look at the numbers, that's why that system right now works. Kasi ang daming bata eh. Nagko-contribute na mandatory, lahat ng nasa call center, BPO, nagko-contribute yan, buwan-buwan. Eh, ang dami nila. Dito na lang, where we are. Ilang call center nandito, BPO. Kaya biglang ngayon, naging 24 oras na mga tindahan eh. That didn't used to exist. Dati yung McDo, hindi yung 24 oras. Dahil hindi 24 oras. Ngayon, so many chains, 24 hours. Because gising eh. And you can afford, and your body can take being awake because again, you are young. I don't know what time you guys sleep, but by 10:30 or 11, I'm sleepy. But a 25-year-old, and I work with 25 and 28-year-olds now, alas 2 pa lang, okay pa rin yan eh. Madaling araw, tulog lang yung 3 oras, go ulit yan. Ligo lang, go. Minsan, naliligo yan. But the body can still take it. So, magkano ba kailangan? Well, I'm sure you've seen this. This is the actual SSS report. So how do you make sense of it, by the way? Depending on your salary, ito yung salary mo, ito dapat yung pinakontribute mo, then sa ng empleyado mo, sa ng employer mo, kasi yung total. So, I did the numbers. By the way, before I continue, do you think it's fair for two people who contribute vastly different sums to walk away with exactly the same benefits? Do you think that's fair? That's exactly how this works. Yung first five, yung 1,000 to 1,250, hanggang mga 3,800, mga 3,500, na salary credit, mga ganon. Laki ng difference na kinocontribute, right? And yet they all get the same pension. Do you think that's fair with the person contributing 3,500? But that's how that system works. So what's the rate? For the lower, basically for the lower paying or the lower contributing, to receive the pension, and I assume they will live for at least 15 years. Kasi 60 pwede na eh. Hanggang 75, kasi yun ang average age ng Pilipino ngayon, mga 75. I mean, insurance people, right? About 75. Reasonable. So 15 years tatanggap yan, every year may 38 month pa yan. The fund has to make close to 20% a year to pay the pension for at least 15 years. So what if the person lives until 80? And you know, half of the people will live above 75, statistically speaking, kung average po 75. So the fund has to make more. Conversely, doon naman sa pinakamalaking nagko-contribute, the fund only has to make about 10%, which is actually doable. Pero saan pa mas marami nagko-contribute? Nasa taas o nasa baba? And we're only talking about the pension benefit, by the way. We are not yet talking about the loans, the maternity, and all the other SSS benefits. So saan pa kinukuha yung mga benefits na yun? Is there a separate fund that you contribute to give those things? Or is it all just one place that we get it from? That's what worries me. We are relying on this system without actually understanding how it works. I agree with the 2,000 in principle, yes. These people need it. My God, they need it. Yes. But do you think it should be given to them at your expense? Kasi magkaalaman, kasi pa pinakabata dito.
Ako.
Seryoso, sino pinakabata dito? 24. Siya na. Kahit balik ka rin mo age mo, sa tanda pa rin ako sa'yo. Do you think it's fair that someone like me get more benefits at your expense? No. Plain and simple. But that is what that increase will have done. That's it. Mathematically, we can argue about right and wrong all day, yes. But I will agree with you to the end that yes, these people need the money, but when those investments were made, the budget was this. And for you to unilaterally suddenly say 2,000 more, where will that come from? Especially if you understand how funds in this country actually work. Where will that come from? Just take a look at this. Financial advisors, all of that. But when we invest, ano yung dapat tinatanong ba yan? They always say, invest, you should beat inflation. The principle is correct. But what exactly are we talking about when you talk about inflation? Okay, what is inflation anyway? What's inflation? Yes, it's the rate at which prices have risen compared to a baseline over a period of time. Very technical definition. So, simplihan natin, pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin. Ganun lang usapan yan. Tumaas ang presyo. Meron bang panahon talaga that over an extended period, bumaba ang presyo ng bilihin? Wala talaga. Yeah. In certain sectors, I agree. Communication actually has become cheaper. It is much cheaper to communicate today than at any other point in history. Don't you find it strange na dati pag sumulat ka, tapos 2 linggo wala kang pakisagot, okay lang? Pero ngayon, pag nag-text ka, pag kalahating oras hindi mo sumasagot, umiinit na ulo mo, na-season ka na. Diba? Season. So, inflation basically is prices rise over time, and if your money does not grow at the same rate, what happens to you? Life gets harder. This is where you get into that phenomena na yung feeling na matipid ka naman, di ka naman maluho. In fact, you go out of your way to scrimp and save wherever you can, but life keeps getting harder. Bakit ganon? Hindi na may kasalanan. Because we don't even, most of us, when we went through college, Eco 101, pinaliwanag yan. Ever since then, did you ever actually keep track of it? It is announced within the first 10 calendar days of every year. Do we pay attention? Yun yung mahirap. Because, can I blame? No. We cannot, because we are bombarded every day with so much information. Our minds are already set to accept certain things and reject certain things. Based on what? What we believe to be important. And that's developed over time. Sample. Ano peso dollar rate? Ayan. Lahat ba kayo may dolyar? Yes. Dapat alam nyo. Kahit sinong Pilipino, tanungin mo peso dollar rate, kahit hindi pa yung nakakahawak ng dolyar, alam niya basically yan. Bakit? Hinanap ba niya yan? Diba? Ano ba peso dollar rate ngayon? Sinatanong mo ba yan every day? What's today's exchange rate? No, you don't. And yet it's in your head. Somehow your mind picked out of all the tons of information you are bombarded with every single day. That sticks. So that's pretty accurate. Yes, it is around 47. Inflation rate natin. That's science. By the way, our inflation rate is influences the exchange rate. It's actually more important for our day-to-day lives. But we don't care. I teach economics to undergrads, and whenever I start the school year, one of the things I say to them is, hindi nyo tinatalo. Ang inflation rate, kunin nyo lang pera nyo, pumunta kayo sa mall, gastusin nyo na lahat. Economically and financially, by the way, that makes sense. Because that means you got full value for your money. Of course, that is not sustainable, that is not practical. Please don't do that. Okay? But I am saying that to show you what this does. Magandang example na lang. Alam niyo yung Max's? Max's chicken. Yung una niyan, again, malalaman niyo kung saan yung generation. The first or one of the biggest Max's of old was on Dewey Boulevard. Sino may alam kung saan Dewey Boulevard?
Saan yun?
Dewey Boulevard is the old name for Rojas Boulevard. Kunyari, hindi alam. Ngayon lang daw narinig. Sige. So, dati, isang buong manok, when Max's first went at isang buong manok doon, 5 piso.
Oo nga.
5 piso.
Sorry, nalaman ko yung nakadikit nga pala sa wall. Hindi dahil ka-age ko siya. I'm young, too young for that.
But she's correct, 5 pesos, 1 entire chicken. So think about that model. You had 5 pesos back then. You could have bought an entire chicken. Sa restaurant yan, ha? And Max's back then was a classy restaurant. Ngayon medyo pang nasa image niya. Pero dati, pag nag-Max's ka, social ka. It was something you planned an entire month, magmamaxis yung pamilya. That was a big deal. 5 piso isang buong manok. So kung may 5 piso ka dati, you had a choice. You save it, or you spend it. And that's always our choice with money. We save it or we spend it. Those are the only 2 things you can do. Spend it or not. That's it. Fast forward to today. Let's say you chose to save it. Yung 5 pesos mo na yun, by now siguro mga 200 na, mga 150 na yun siguro. 180. Dali may 180 na isa, saan mo manok kami? Di na. Quarter na lang yata yan eh. Pakaha. Mga quarter. So ano napala mo sa pagtitiis mo? Did you actually end up becoming better off? No. So what was the point of the entire exercise? For a more contemporary example, since mas bata naman tayo lahat kesa sa Maxes. Big Mac meal na lang. Burger, fries, regular drink. Correct? Sabi yung, kami, mag-200? Bawal lang sa'yo kung mag-iya, hindi ko na alam eh. My wife will kill me every time I eat that. Sabi yung 200, let's round it up. 200. So, 200 pesos, you're hungry, you can buy the Big Mac meal, masaya ka. Okay. Or you can take 10 pesos, cup noodles. May 10 pisong cup noodles, wala na ba? Magkano? Bawal na din kasi sa akin yan. Hindi ko na alam eh. Magkano na cup noodles ngayon? Pinakamura? 20? 20? 180. So, 20 pesos, tiis ka, 180, lagay mo sa savings. So why are you doing this, by the way? Why are you doing this? Because you want something better, I would like to assume. And by something better, let's make it simple. You want to upsize the fries and drink. That is your something better. Agree? Upsize lang natin. Yun na lang. Oh. So yung 180 mo, tinabi mo, 20, nagtiis ka. After a year or 2 years, what do you think will happen? Can you even buy that same Big Mac meal? O wala na yung burger? Alam mo wala na yung burger? Fries at drink na lang yan. You wait a bit more. Ano man iiwan? Fries na lang. So what did your sacrifice actually get? Hunger. Deprivation. That's why people get turned off by investing. They equate it with deprivation. Magtitiis ako, I will deny myself good things. Simply because we fail to understand this. And the sad fact is even practitioners do not really understand this. They just use a number that is given by the government, let's say 1.1%. Okay, you beat inflation, it's 1.1%. So if your investment beats inflation, it's good, it won. Great for you. Completely wrong. If not completely wrong, inadequate or insufficient. Because first and foremost, let's take a look at inflation. Ano ba naman ang inflation na yan? So when you talk to an advisor, and they tell you, okay, you have to beat inflation, ask them. Okay? In a way, to begin to check their competence. Okay, say, what exactly is in that inflation? Because they always say it's a basket of goods, correct? It's a basket of goods. It's ganito, ganito. What exactly is in that basket? According to the government, that basket looks like this. Meaning, of the 100% that is spent, 40% is on food and non-alcoholic beverages. Is this what your expenses look like? Kaya last time, pinagawa ko yung expenses niya, di ba? This is what the government says is the average of a Filipino. And if you use the 1.1% rate, this means you are behaving in a way similar to this. Is this how you behave? Sino dito may anak? Okay. Ano pinakamalaking gastos natin sa mga anak natin?
Education.
Education. So do you spend just 3.5% of your salary on your child's education? No. So what use is this then? Not very useful. So what use is that figure then to you? Not as relevant. But the principle is correct, yes. Now, it's hard to appreciate when you're using percentages. So, let's have a case study. Let's say you make 100,000 a month. Let's say. Para lang madali yung math. Ayan. So, sa isang buwan, ang gastos mo sa edukasyon ng anak mo kasama tuition, wala pang 3,200. For all children na yan, ha? And that is what I am saying. If we just blindly accept data without understanding the context, we end up making faulty decisions. Ayun, no? So when an advisor says beat inflation and they are just saying, oh, beat the 1.1, kulang yung research ng tao. They don't know enough about you yet. But are you actually willing to provide them this information? So that I can give you a better alternative. Because if you don't give me better information, this is what I will default to. And if this is wrong for you, then what I give you will be wrong. So what's your choice now? Either calculate this yourself, or you give us better figures. It's up to you. Tell us what your inflation rate is over time, or give us this and we will calculate it for you. You have to pick one. So ano mas gusto niya? Bigay sa amin o kayo mag-calculate? Ang hirap, di ba? Kasi syempre ayaw mo ibigay yan eh. Di ba? Ayaw mo ibigay talaga yan. Pero pag hindi mo ibinigay yan, hindi kita mabibigyan ng tama. I need this. Then I can choose which fund, then I can choose which instrument, which strategy will help you reach your goals. But if you do not give me this, or worse, if you give me wrong data, who will suffer, me or you? Parang nagsabi sa doktor, Dok, masakit tiyan ko pero problema mo nandito. Bibigyan kita ng antacid, yung pala may problema ka sa taas. Sino mahihirapan pag ganun? I know it's very personal, that's why the alternative is you calculate it, you tell the advisor then, well, my expenses actually go up about 8% per year, 9%. Do you have a product that can do that? O yun pwede. Pero ikaw gagawa nito. Willing ka ba? That's the harsh choice. Protect your privacy, I agree. Then give me better data. Kasi dapat alam mo naman yan, di ba? Lalo na, in the next sessions, we will learn to do projections. Magpa-project na tayo kaharap. Kasi, from knowing what you do now, di ba gusto mo nga future, magpa-project na tayo. Kasi, we all grow old eh. I'm sure what you want today is very different from what you wanted 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. And 5 years from today, you may be in a very different place from where you are. Diba? Life takes the weirdest turns sometimes.
True.
Maraming sinasabing single for life, bigla na lang isang taon, buntis na, magsasettle down. Diba? Makilala kayong mga ganon. Diba? Life takes the strangest turns sometimes. And your plans have to evolve. It's always funny to me when I hear stories or when I hear people when they talk about insurance and when someone offers them insurance, sasabihin, ay hindi, meron na ako nan, okay na ako. Bakit? Vaccination ba to? Diba? Bili ka once, okay ka na buong buhay? Why? Has your life not evolved over time? You have to look at it that way. Ako, I married rather late in life. So, single person, certain target. Through a weird twist of events, I actually got married to the surprise of my family. Change numbers. Kasi may sama naman bigla eh. Then we had a son. Change numbers again. Kasi may bata na eh. And that all happened in a span of 5 years. So dapat yung plano ko nag-evolve. Dati insurance, iniisip ko lang, magulang ko. Then I had to do the paperwork to transfer to my wife and child. Tapos sasabihin mo sa akin, one time lang yun. My assets, fortunately, have increased. So I have more to protect. So hindi ko i-insure yun. But I understand where you're coming from. Allergic naman tayo pag binibentahan eh. Totoo yun. So ikaw magbigay nito. Do not come to me and ask me, Aya, magkano ba insurance na kailangan ko? Patay tayo dyan, bibentahan talaga kita kaliwat kanan. Pero pag sinabi mo, Aya, eto budget ko, eto yung nahanap ko, meron ka ba nito? The answer becomes yes or no. Yes, let's do business. No, okay, move on. But we have to do our share. Pag tayo mo nagpunta sa doktor, hindi naman, Dok, masama pakiramdam ko. Sasabihin mo na totoo, oh, saan ang sakit? Hulaan niyo. Ganun ba? Hindi, sasabihin dito, oh. Pero patagal, comes and it goes, ganito, gano'n. Tapos may pain meter ka pa. Baka ibig sabihin ng 5 versus 6, diba yung mga gano'n, mga pain meter. Finance works exactly the same way. Ano ba gusto mong mangyari? Kailan? Paano? Saan? Sino kasama? Then we can have nice discussion. That's why this is very important. That inflation figure, again, it's released within the first 10 calendar days. It's in all the major websites, it's in all the major business sections, and yet we ignore it. Pero mag-away ang ALDAP, alam natin lahat. Bakit yan? Ayan, no? Is this how you behave? Here are the basic, fill up na yung ganyan. Gawa kayo na sa linyong ganyan. Diba? Sinuhin wali, gawa kayo ng, so that alam nyo. And over time, you build your own database. Ito ang hirap maghanap ng bagong doktor because you have to tell your entire medical history again. Lolo ko namatay ng ganito, lolo ko namatay ng gano'n, dito ko may ganyan, yung magulang ko may gano'n, may kapatid. Diba? It's so exhausting, you can't keep doing that. That's what this is, it's your record. It's your financial record. Then you can make better decisions. Maybe you don't need the stock market. Great. There are now lots of safer alternatives. But how do I know that? That's why one of the criticisms among many advisors is this. Pag tinanong, anong magandang fund? Pag tinanong mo anong magandang fund, sasagot, balance na lang. Bakit? Para lahat meron. Hindi ganun. Diba? Each fund has a purpose. And for me to prescribe the proper fund, I need good data from you. That's where the trust has to come in. And if you don't trust me, fine, I get it. Yes. Then give me good numbers. So that we can make better. Because the sad fact is our margin of error is very, very low. Unlike other things, when you make a mistake, you can recover. But when it comes to finance, if you make certain mistakes, it's very hard to recover. Especially when you're past 40, sad to say. Pag 20-30 ka, madali makabawi. Pag nagkamali ka, lampas 40 at may pamilya ka na, ang hirap makabawi. I've been wiped out in the stock market more than once. Eh, ako lang naman so I eat noodles for a couple of weeks. That's fine. Ako lang Pero may asawa anak na ako, hindi na pwede ganun. Risk profile changed, investments must change, behavior must change. Napicturean nyo yan? Gawa kayo ng ganyan nyo, para next time. Nang seryoso yan, it's a guide. You don't have to follow it to the letter. You can come up with your own. But at least have something that you're comfortable with. Okay? Ayan. People are sometimes surprised where the money goes. For the people who were here last time and you did your expenses, what was your biggest surprising expense? Uber. Uber. Ako din, nung una nung naging... I'm a huge fan of Uber and Grab, to be honest. I hate driving. I really do. I think it's such a waste of time to be stuck in traffic. And you can be doing so many more things. So yun, I was really glad when Uber and Grab became really popular, mas madali makasakay. Since I live in Eastwood especially, I can get Uber pretty much any time of the day. And pauwi, okay din na. So syempre, naka-charge sa credit card, makikita ko yung expenses ko. Naguna na siya ako. Pero makita ko yung numero, teka. Yan, o umihin ko yung sa traffic. Ayun na lang. Choice ko na lang yun. So what happened? Well, unfortunately, bad timing because last year, as I told you last year, I bought a Fortuner. Now, after 1 year of use, just has 4,400 kilometers. Hindi na nagamit. Kasi every time I go to Makati, every time I go to BGC, magpupunta nila ako tapos kung may party, maglalagay na lang ako ng sine dun sa iPad, nanonood na lang ako. Nakakanood ako ng sine, isipin mo, gano'n sa mga traffic. I'm regularly able to watch movies in traffic. Diba? Like kagabi lang, Traffic last night was horrible, right?
Yes. Uwi ako 1 a.m.
Mas masarap na naman ka na
From Makati
kasi
siya.
ikaw nagdadayo.
Bahay mo naman.
So, anong expenses? Yeah, Uber is one. Ano pa? What is your surprising expense? Grocery? Yeah.
Office lunch.
Ano?
Office lunch.
Office lunch. O, yung pa, isa yun. Diba, sama ka na sama sa barkada. That's true, especially mga young people. Pero alam mo, magpapaiwan ka din. That's also hard.
Sa payday na lang.
Those are the things. Now, I'm not saying you stop doing them. No. But if you know, then you can make better choices. Because honestly, it's so easy to spend money today compared to any other. Dati para gumastos, mag-prepare ka pa para gumastos. What do I mean? Para gumastos dati, pupunta ka sa mall, siyempre naman siguro, I assume maliligo ka. Ligo ka, bihis ka, commute ka, bago ka makagastos. Eh ngayon, basta may telepono ka, libo-libo magagastos mo sa isang pindot eh. And it's surprising the penetration of cell phones in our country. In Tacloban, since I was working in one of the large phone companies, every single person we talk, and we're talking about among the poorest of the poor, and yet they all have access to a cell phone. That's it. So talagang makakagastos sila. Eh kung yun, may access na gano'n, for us, I'm guilty. I have 2 phones. Isang globe, isang smart. Dati nga, 3, di ba? Isang globe, isang smart, at isang sun. Buti nga ngayon, 2 na lang eh. Bakit? Kasi mas mura naman talaga pag within network. So, ano yung costs? That's why personally, I do like credit cards. I do. Prior to apps, that was my way of monitoring my expenses. Credit card ko na lang lahat, so at the end of the month, I can review. Pero may safety feature tayo. Yung credit card limit naming mag-asawa, combined, is simply my average 1 month. That's it. No more than that. My bank tries to raise it every quarter or so. They give you a nice letter, oh, you are a valuable customer, we will raise your credit rate. I write them right back and say, please put it back. Why? Because that way, if I hit that credit limit, which I rarely do, I know I've already spent next month's income. So we're done. Eh, kahit manakaw yan, at most I can lose 1 month's income. That's it. Could I really be spending more than 1 month of income I have not yet earned? But I also know, I've gone through the stage, that was harsh lesson. Bata din ako, sarap na feeling dami ng credit card eh. Totoo yun. It makes you feel physically good. Diba? Yung klase ngayon, corny na nga yung silver eh. Pinapamigay na gold, platinum. Meron na titanium, diamond. Pag binuksan mo gano'n, dami na bumili. Sarap ng feeling. Tapos, yun nga, you get that nice letter. You know, you are a good customer. You now have 500,000 in credit, ganito. Really? Do you really need 500,000? Why? What do you buy that's going to be worth 500,000 in 1 month? So, alamin natin yan. Here are some questions to sort of help you. Ano yung pinakamalaki? Is it food? For many of us, it will be food. Is it food? To their social security systems because their populations are aging. Obama had to redo their entire healthcare system, which for decades prior to him, people wanted because they had all aged. There were fewer people contributing, more old people withdrawing, and they were withdrawing for longer periods of time. Tapos nauubusan sila ng pera. In fact, the latest projections, their projections say that unless changes are made, their social security system may not go beyond 2025 or 2030 unless it's changed. Now, the question is, do you believe our politicians and people here are better than them? Such that they can do things that that country has consistently failed at. Do you think we can actually succeed given our limitations here? And I'm not just saying that, oh, racist ka, ayaw mo sa Pilipino. No. take a look at the system. They have more safeguards. They have more oversight. Let's say our politicians are equally corrupt. Fine, I'll grant you that. Who has more safeguards in the system, us or them? Them. And if in spite of all of those safeguards, their system is still failing, we actually believe a system that has even fewer safeguards can massively outperform theirs. That's the question. Huwag na yung tama, mali. Tama naman talaga dagdagan natin, pero let's live in the reality. It is also wrong for me to assure my comfort at his generation's expense. That is also wrong. Ano gagawin natin? Because that's where we're headed. Because we are aging as a country simply because women, as they get empowered, choose to have fewer children. I've said that several times. Last time I said that also. And it's still true. Educated women today, given a choice, will not choose to have 6, 7, 8 children. Correct? Pag lalaki tinuro mo, oh, wala na lang panganay lahat yan. But here's the sad fact though. This past week, actually last Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I was in Tacloban. I was working with another institution. I was trying to educate 16,000 people na na-displaced ng Hayan how to save. This is the first batch. I'm going to do that also in the next several months. 16,000. I was speaking basically, nakita niyo yung picture nung barko na nag-wash up. Nakita niyo yung picture na yun. I was speaking 200 meters below that in a basketball court. Bumalik din yung mga tao lahat doon. And almost every woman of childbearing age I could see that day was either pregnant or had a child. All of them. Are those the, again, it's going to sound elitist, sige na, but are those the type of people you want to have a lot of children? Diba? Bata mo, parang palumatan sa bata, ang tahan mo eh. As usual, kulang sa damit, underwear lang, walang t-shirt, running with dogs, cats, chickens, pero magtutuwa ka, maganda basketball court nila. May ring, may net. Oh. So, dito aasa. And yet implicitly our behavior relies on this. Implicitly our behavior relies on this. And that's one of the big, and that's why we are headed for a good awakening. Pagdating ng panahon at biglang mag-cut back ng benefits yan, because legally, pag short yan, the government can do 2 things. Actually, 3 things. None of which sound very good. Number 1, increase contributions na lahat tayo magagalit. Number 2, decrease benefits na lahat din tayo magagalit. And number 3, pinakakagalit natin lahat, raise taxes. So, ano gusto nyo doon? Hindi naman pwede ka lang yan. It's one of those 3. That's why, pag mag-aaway tayo, look at the numbers. I agree. These people want, but saan magagalit? Do you want to be the one to pay for it? End of the day. Realistically, ayaw mo din because it's not fair. And in our culture, ano pag-iisipan natin? Yes. Kasi pagdating sa retirement, kasi last time, yung ano natin is yung goals yung when you're starting. O ngayon, let's go to the end. We all want to retire and we all want to retire as early as possible. True?
Yes.
Yes. And by retire, hindi naman yung nakalakalak sa bahay. Hindi naman ganun. I mean, to be financially secure such that you can do what you want when you want. Boring, hindi naman ko lang gagawin sa bahay eh. Yeah. Magugulay lang utak mo. Maasar ka na lang sa lahat ng tao. Lahat na lang mali. Sungit ka. Di ba? But there are very serious concerns for retirement in the Philippines. Number 1, where we live. We are, like I said before, we are a property-owning culture. We have been taught to own the house we live in regardless. This day and age, that doesn't make as much, it still makes sense, but it doesn't make as much sense as it used to. But it's still a driving concern. Where do you live? Especially when you're no longer making money. What's the usual thing? Makikita ka sa anak mo. Gusto mo ba yung in-law mo? Ha? So, ano problema? Or, ano ang usual default? Ito eh. Muling anak na walang asawa. Yan, tingnan mo nakaka-relate pa. Muling anak na walang asawa, sa'yo titira o doon ka tumira para ikaw magbabayad ng lahat. Lalo na yan. Kasi wala naman ang tatabi eh. We don't even know magkano dapat tinatabi. Because again, we don't know what type of retirement lifestyle we want. We just have images. Terms like living off interest. Okay, what does that actually mean? Is there actually a device that allows you to do that? In the past, yes. Dati BPI, pwede kang 14% a year. BPI, BPI na yan, kuripot yun. Pero 14% a year, guaranteed nila, mayroon. Ngayon, punta ka sa BPI, maghanap ka ng 14%. Sana. Actually, pag may nagbibigay ng natatakot na ako eh. Diba? So again, we have these old, outdated images in our head, and we assume they still work. Then healthcare. Mahal magsakit sa Pilipinas. Tama? At kahit wala kang sakit, if you want to eat healthy, mahal. Mahal ba yun? Organic, brown rice, red rice, gluten-free, ano yung joke lang? Sugar-free, fat-free, salt-free, taste-free na din, lasa, no trans fat, yung ganyan. Wala na rin lasa talaga yan. But seriously, healthcare. Even if you want to be healthy, gym memberships cost money. Sige, hindi ka mag-gym, tatakbo ka na lang. Sapatos, wala naman nakakampak ng tumatakbo dyan sa labas. Plus, there are very real risks. I mean, sad to say, di ba? You try to be healthy, sometimes you end up in accidents, especially in this country. And just here in Sun Life alone, I think last month, young guy, mid-20s, 30s, fit, soon to be a father, biker, athlete, nasagasaan pa. Why? Because he was trying to be healthy. Doing the right thing. Hindi pa sa bansa natin. Sayang. Tingnan mo buntis asawa. It's tragic. What's my point? It's no joke eh. It's no joke. We never think it's going to happen to us until it does. We think always that insurance and these discussions are for somebody else. It always happens to somebody else. Someone we know, someone we heard about until we... That's time. Because to someone else, we're that someone else. So what do we do then? How do we prepare for these things? When we go across the system, one of the things about this program, the reason we're running it, is we want to teach you how to relate to advisors. That's why in the next one, maghahanap na tayo eh. Doesn't have to be from Sun Life. Because unless you know what to expect, mag-aaway lang kayo. When you go to a doctor, your doctor especially, no, right? Why? Hindi ka ba takot maghubad sa harap ng taong yan? Bakit hindi? Kasi doktor mo eh. Exactly. Paano kayo na walang anisya? Bakit? Kahit na, in this day and age, kahit na. No, but in all seriousness, like you said, walang mali siya. Bakit? Minsan kahit lalaki nga yan, bakit pa din? I mean, there are OBGYNs that are guys. And yet women are okay exposing themselves to these guys. Why? Because they know it's part of the process. They trust the process more than the person, correct? So that when that practitioner says, sit, strip, and spread, they do it. As a finance. When you go to someone, a practitioner, what do you actually expect will happen? Are they there to suddenly solve all of your problems? What can you actually expect out of that relationship? Because in a sense, that's what we will also ask you to do. Sit, strip, and spread. Except financially. Tayo mga Pilipino, we hate talking about money. We believe talking about money is bad. But if you never talk about anything, how can you ever progress? And just take a look at how gay rights have progressed over the past couple of decades. It used to be a massive, massive issue if a person came out as gay. It was. It would kill careers. It would kill relationships. But through dialogue over the years, things changed. Diba? And in fact, what they said was, pag-usapan natin yan. Let's bring it out. Like this, that's the term. Coming out of the closet, diba? Let's bring it out into the light. Let's discuss it so we can move forward as a race. Money is the same thing. We do not discuss money. Sometimes you don't even tell your spouse how much you're making. Diba? And if someone that you just met suddenly asks you, magkano ba sweldo mo? Sasagutin mo yun na maayos? Hindi. Pero kung mali yung pinigay mo sa kanya, ano yung babalik niya sa'yo? Tama? Di ba in computers, they have the term garbage in, garbage out? We work exactly the same way. It's very popular these days eh. Kasi biglang may panritiro na Pilipino nag-iisip na eh. Dati wala tayo eh. Wala eh. Ngayon biglang meron na ngayon. 2.5 trillion. Someone's going to inherit all of that. All of these condos that were built, someone's going to inherit all of these things. And if you ask many OFWs, bakit ka bumibili ng condo? It's for retirement nga eh. Mababayaran mo ba yung condo dues pag wala kang trabaho? Yung pamilya pa, mababayaran mo pag wala kang trabaho. Piniliwanag ba yung mga ahente? Most often hindi. Because sometimes even they don't know. So, let's go through each one. By the way, does anyone have any questions? Nakakatakot pag lang nagtatanong. May tanong, wala. Okay? Sabi niyo eh. Kasi yan, funeral expenses. Lahat naman tayo papanaw eh. We don't know when. So, kung iiwan mo sa pamilya mo, bill, malaki yan. Yan yung housing, isa-isahin natin. Housing. Do you still own it? That has a cost. Ownership has a cost. Taxes, maintenance, that has a cost. Or will you rent? Which also has a cost. Yung rent. May cost in there. And of course, that feeling of vulnerability since you can be evicted. Right? We don't want that in our life. So which one will you take? Or can you choose, or will it be chosen for you? Live with children. That's the most popular option. But that also has issues also. Number one, you have to get along with your children. Number two, you have to get along with your in-laws. And I think we all understand that we don't always get along with the in-laws. Hindi naman palagi nagkakasundo eh. So, how do you resolve this then? If you had a choice, what would you like? Still live in your own house by yourself, on your own terms? That would be the best, right? It's your own house. You can support yourself. So sila makitira sa'yo, Nax. Diba? Diba? Sila makitira sa'yo. Okay, sige. But that takes planning. That takes discipline. That doesn't happen overnight for practically all of us. And then yung mahirap maintenance eh. That's why there has been an explosion of condominiums for retirees or soon to retire. Kasi ang mahirap, pag mag-isa ka sa bahay at mataas yung ilaw, sino magpapalit? It's the little things that we don't see. May nabasag na bintana dahil bumagyo. Or the drainage clogs because of leaves. Kasi bahay eh. Sino maglilinis? Maghahanap ka, may kailalabak ka. Do you know anyone? And the person that you get, can you trust them? Pag nalaman nilang dalawa lang kayong senior citizen na nakatira doon and maybe a maid. Is that also safe? These are the questions we have to begin asking ourselves. Because if you look at other countries, especially older countries like Japan, household maintenance is one of the leading causes of injury among elderly people. Kasi wala magpapalit ng simpleng ilaw eh. And when you're 75 and up, things go wrong with your coordination, whether you want to or not. At isang bagsak lang, ang daming nababasag. Diba? So, we have to discuss it. The day-to-day expenses, like food. Food for old people is more expensive than food for young people. Because young people can eat anything. Kaya taas na stock price ng Jollibee eh. Seryoso yun. You can track the age of a population by how well fast food companies do and what they're serving. For me, one of the biggest signs that our population ages, or the biggest trigger that will tell me, ay matanda na talaga ang Pilipinas, is when Jollibee starts serving salads. Pag may salad na sa Jollibee. May salad na sa Jollibee? Lahat fried. Kaya masarap. Pero pag mga salad na yan, mga ganun-ganun, ibig sabihin, matanda na nagpupunta doon. E ngayon, hindi, bata eh. Because again, when you're old, your diet changes. Dami ng bawal. Taas na uric acid mo. Taas na blood pressure mo, cholesterol mo, sugar mo, lahat mataas na. So what do you eat actually? Down. Which is true. Kaya nasalad na lang, di ba? Nagsasalad ka na lang talaga. As damit. We tend to think old people walang sense of style. Maybe it's because they don't have a choice anymore. They want to dress better, but given the limited funds, gamot na lang, imbis na damit. Diba? Ganun yan eh. Yung makikita mo, old people wearing stuff that siyempre, konti lang. And the funny thing is, mahirap ang kuha lang sa St. Luke's, correct? Tapos siya palaging bus yan eh. Ang haba minsan ng pila sa ER. Yung ilang oras ka na nasa ER, hindi ka mabigyan ng kwarto. Eh, paano kung hindi mo kaya yun? Well, there are of course cheaper hospitals like that. Pero nagmamahal na din yan. And dyan makikita din yung acumen ni MVP eh. Sino ba bumibili niyan? Di ba si Pangilinan? Bakit? Kasi alam nila ng tao tatanda eh. At pag tumatanda ka, ang unang-unang babayaran mo, hospital. Kahit gaano kalaki ang na-save mo, a huge chunk of that will go to the hospital. That's forward thinking. It's morbid forward thinking, but it is still forward thinking. He knows we'll all grow old, and he knows we will pay whatever it takes to get ourselves treated in the best hospitals possible. At hindi ka naman nakipagtawaran sa doktor mo, di ba? Pag-o-operahan ka, tatawaran mo ba yan? Hindi na.
Discounted din yan.
Discounted. Baka discounted yung gamitin eh. Bawasan yung anesthesia, pagising ka sa gitna.
Sakit na.
Nakatakot yun. Okay? So ganun din, who pays? PhilHealth? That's why please study your PhilHealth benefits. If you have questions about it, we can discuss it next time. You pay for it, by the way. So update your records. Baka minsan form lang naman kailangan eh. Yes, I know it's hassling, but you're paying for it. Self and family. The Filipino family this generation has become more fragmented. Everyone here, I'm sure, as a relative was migrated permanently. Some of you are most likely thinking of migrating, potentially. So what does that do to the family here? And then at the end of days, yung funeral. Lamay? Mahal yun. Lahat binibilang. Ilang upuan, aircon, tubig. Everything has a cost, like I said. Cremation used to be cheap, now not anymore. Cremation was initially built as a cheaper alternative to the traditional funeral. Now it can actually even be more expensive. Yeah, like last time I said, may levels of cremation eh. I hope you're aware of that. There are levels of cremation.
Half baked, overcooked.
My personal term is regular and extra crispy. Bakit? Because there is the basic one that, yeah, abuka. But as people, became more affluent, umate. Ano yung sabihin? Yung normal kasi na cremation, pag ginagis mo doon ng abo, pagsakyan dito lahat sa harap mo. Diba, may gusto yung atin na pag ginanon mo, it will spread in the wind. Diba? Diba, spread ka over a field, over a forest, over your farm, mga ganon. That takes more fuel. Because you have to be reduced to a finer powder. So, mas mahal yun. Bumati na ako eh. Tapos dati simple lang yung nalagyan, earn. Ngayon hindi na. Ang dami na niya. Tapos, for some reason, medyo nagiging uso, hati-hati kayo dun sa abo ng magulang. Diba? Kasi like, 3 kayong magkakapatid. This is lahat kayo may abo ng Tapos meron, tama rin sa'yo, isusuot mo pa yung mga gano'n. Pendant. Pag yung basic it's chunky eh. Hindi pwede lagyan ng pendant yun. Okay? So before we tackle this, since I know na medyo matagal namin let's take about a 5-10 minute break. So pwede na tayo mag-CR. Medyo malaking kasi CR.